Okay, this is lesson 3.4 notes. We are going to be factoring expressions today. So what is factoring an expression? Well, it is to write an expression as a product of factors. So because you're writing it as a factor of products, you are technically doing the opposite of distributive property, which is to undistribute. So you're undistributing a number. So that is to divide out that number. So we have example number 1 here where it says factor out the GCF. Okay, GCF stands for greatest common factor. Okay, so a factor is a number that goes evenly into other numbers. So if we're looking at a factor of 24x minus 18, we're looking at factors of 24 and 18. And that's the largest number that will go into both of them. We know 1 goes into them. They're both even numbers, so 2 will go into them. If I take the sum of the digits, 2 plus 4 is 6, so I know 3 goes into this one. And 1 plus 8 is 9, so 3 goes into that one. So they have 3 in common. 4 they don't have in common. And 6 they have in common. 6 goes evenly into both of them. And then 18 does not go into 24, so we know that 6 is the greatest common factor. And so we're going to factor out the 6. So when we rewrite this, 24x minus 18, what we're trying to say is to pull the 6 out in front. Okay, so 6 parentheses. We're going to rewrite this simplified expression to a product here of 6 and the terms. So that's when we're dividing. So we've got the 24x divided by 6. And when we do that, we get 4x. And then negative 18 divided by 6 is negative 3. So to factor this by the GCF, our answer is 6 times the quantity 4x minus 3. We can always double check that and make sure it works too, because 6 times 4x is 24x, and 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. Okay, so then we have 3 try-it problems. If you want to try to pull out the GCF. Okay, looking at 15 and 25. The greatest number that goes into both of those is 5. 15 doesn't go evenly into 25. So we're going to pull out that 5 in front that we're going to be dividing by, and 15x divided by 5 is 3x, and 25 divided by 5 is positive 5, so we're going to say plus 5. Okay, looking at number 2, 2 goes into both of them evenly, but so does 4, and 4 is the larger number. So we're going to pull out the 4 here when we divide. So 4y divided by 4 is y, and negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. So that'll be our minus 5. So we get 4 times the quantity y minus 5. In number 3, we have 2 in common to both numbers. We have 3 in common. We have 4 in common. 6 is also a factor of them, and so is 12. So 12 is our largest GCF. So divide by 12, 36c divided by 12 is 3c, and 24d divided by 12 is 2d, so that's going to be plus 2d. Okay, so that's factoring out the GCF. In example number 2, it says to factor out a rational number. So this time we're going to be factoring out 1/2. So we are going to do both of these numbers, terms here, divided by 1/2. So we're pulling the 1/2 out in front, and 1/2 x divided by 1/2. Well, 1/2 divided by itself is 1, so 1x is just x. And then we have a positive divided by positive, so we can put a plus sign there. 3/2 divided by 1/2. 3/2 divided by 1/2. That means 3/2 times 2/1. And when we simplify, we just get 3/1, which is 3. Which makes sense because 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 is going to give you your 3/2. Okay, then we have some try it problems. It says to factor out the coefficient of the variable. So the variable is n, the coefficient is the number in front. So in this case, we are dividing out the 1/2. So we're going to have the 1/2 out in front. 1/2 n divided by 1/2 is just n. And then negative 1/2 divided by positive 1/2 is going to be a negative 1. Here we have the coefficient is 3/4. It's the number in front of p. So we're going to have 3/4 pulled out in front. And 3/4 p divided by 3/4 is just p. And then we have a negative divided by positive, which is going to be a minus sign. 3/2 divided by 3/4 means 3/2 times 4/3. Okay, cross-canceling our factors here. And we get 2/1, which is just 2. Again, if you want to divide fractions using your calculators, you can. Just make sure that you call this one negative 3/2 divided by 3/4. Okay, and number 6, our coefficient is 2.5. So 5 divided by 2.5 is 2. And 2.5q divided by 2.5q is just q. 2.5 divided by 2.5 is 1. 1q is just q. Okay, let's turn it over to the next side. Sometimes we're not told to factor out a positive number. Sometimes we can factor out a negative number. In this case here, they're telling us to factor out a negative 2 to these two terms. So dividing by negative 2, remembering our sign rules, we pull the negative 2 out in front. Negative 4p divided by negative 2 is positive 2p. Negative divided by negative is positive. On this side, we have a positive 10 divided by negative 2, which is negative 5. So our answer is negative 2 times the quantity 2p minus 5. Okay, try it. You have a couple examples here, and then come back and check with me. We're factoring out a negative 5 in this one. So pull out your negative 5 in front. Negative 5d divided by negative 5. Well, negative 5 divided by itself is 1. 1d is just d. And then 30 divided by a negative 5 would be negative 6. Again, you can divide the numbers using your calculator if needed. All right, negative 4. 8k, negative 8k divided by negative 4 is positive 2k, and negative 12 divided by a negative 4 is positive 3. Lastly, we have a word problem, modeling real life. A rectangular landing platform for a rocket is 60 yards wide and has an area of 60x plus 3,600 square yards. Write an expression that represents the perimeter in yards for the platform. So first of all, we have our width is 60. We're told that, but we don't have our length yet of this platform, of this flat surface. What we have instead is the area being equal to 60x plus 3,600. So the way to find the length is, you'll recall that area equals length times width. So we're going to have to pull out the width here in order to get our length using our area formula. So we're going to have our area divided by our width of 60 to get our length. Okay, so then we'll pull our 60 out in front. That's our width times the quantity. 60x divided by 60 is just x. And then here we have a positive divided by a positive, which is going to be a positive sign. 3,600 divided by 60 works out to be 60. So this right here is our length. And now we're ready to do perimeter. Remember, the formula for the perimeter is 2 length plus 2 width. So you've got 2 of these two side and these two that are equivalent. So 2 times the length would be 2 times the x plus 60 plus 2 times the width. Well, that's 2 times 60 lengths. Working out our problem here, we have 2x plus 2 times 60 is 120, plus 2 times 60 again here is 120. And then finally, to combine like terms, we have the 2x by itself. So p equals 2x plus, and then the 120 plus 120 is 240. So our perimeter is 2x plus 240.